Welcome to the February 18th, 2020 Yukon City Council and Yukon Municipal Authority meetings in the council chambers of the Centennial Building at 12 South 5th Street, Yukon, Oklahoma at 7 p.m. This evening we will welcome the invocation to be given by Pastor Gary Reynolds of the Yukon First Church of the Nazarene, and immediately following will be the flag salute. Pastor Gary.
Our gracious God, we bring to you tonight these our leaders, asking that you would give them the measure of wisdom that they need to make the decisions that concern all of us in our city. We thank you for your help. We pray these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Gary. I think we could all use a little wisdom. Roll call, please.
McCarran.
Here.
Yonda.
Here.
Caccini.
Here.
Selby.
Here.
Wooten.
Here.
We're going to take just a moment here. Are there any presentations or proclamations, sir?
None this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. In that case, then, I'm going to introduce Mr. Eric Gilliland. And everybody turn around and take a look at Eric. He's your new councilman that will be replacing me. So we appreciate you coming tonight. Let's give him a round of applause. We'll now move into the visitors section. This section of the proceedings is for visitors who would like to address the Yukon City Council on a non-agenda item. Each person will be given 3 minutes to address the council, and by open meeting rules, no discussion will take place. Do we have anyone here this evening?
I have no request, Mr. Mayor.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, we'll proceed on. We will now recess as the Yukon City Council and convene as the Yukon Municipal Authority. Item 1A on the Municipal Authority agenda is the consent docket. This item is placed on the agenda so that the Yukon Municipal Authority, by unanimous consent, can approve those routine items they wish to be approved by one motion. If an item does not meet with the approval of all authority members, that item will be heard in regular order. The city manager recommends a motion to approve A, minutes of the regular meeting of February the 4th, 2020, B, minutes of the special meeting of February the 11th, 2020, and C, payment of material claims in the amount of $143,411.06. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Vote, please.
Wooten.
Yes.
Caccini.
Yes.
McCarran.
Yes.
Yonda.
Yes.
Selby.
Yes.
Item 2A, presentation and acceptance of the 2018-2019 financial audit performed by HBC, CPAs, and advisors. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. And opening the discussion at this point will be...
I'm Chris Heim with HBC CPAs and Advisors.
Okay.
I'd like to thank the council for having us out tonight and engaging us to perform the audit. Like to also thank the city staff for helping us. We're definitely an inconvenience when we come in here, so I appreciate all their hard work. And also Frank and his staff, they provide a lot of information to us for the audit, so I appreciate that. I'm going to start off on page 5, our auditor's report. I'm going to hit our 2 reports and then just briefly go over some of the financial information in the report. So I'm just going to walk down the page there on our auditor's report. The first paragraph states that we have audited these financial statements. Second paragraph under management's responsibility describes what management's responsible for. They are responsible for these financial statements. They are also responsible for the design, implementation, and maintenance of the internal controls within the entity. The third paragraph under auditor's responsibility, what are our responsibilities? Our responsibility is to obtain audit evidence. We are also required to perform this audit in accordance with government auditing standards. Fourth paragraph, this describes what we do. So we design procedures to form an opinion, which includes the assessment of risk. So we develop a risk assessment, and we might perform more procedures in any given area depending on the risk of that area. So in making those risk assessments, we consider your internal controls. We don't form an opinion on those internal controls, but we develop an understanding of those internal controls, and we issue a second report that we'll talk about those in just a bit. Fifth paragraph, we believe we obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence to form an audit opinion. And then the sixth paragraph is our opinion. We believe that these financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. So that's a clean opinion, and that's the best opinion that we can offer as auditors. So from there, I'm going to jump to page 8. Page 8 through 16 is the management discussion and analysis. This provides a summary of pretty much all the 70 pages that are subsequent to it. So for the purpose of this presentation, I'm just going to mostly hit these summary pages. Starting with the financial highlights on the top of the page 8. For the fiscal year ended June 30, 2019, the city's total net position increased by $6.4 million, or 12.9% from the prior year. The second bullet point, during the year, the city's expenses for the governmental activities were $29.7 million and were funded by program revenues of $4.5 million and further funded with taxes and other general revenues of $28.7 million. So the second two numbers there are the revenues the governmental funds took in, which totals to be about $33 million. That top number is the 29.7 are the expenses for the governmental funds, which the revenues exceeded the expenses of $3.5 million in the governmental funds. The third bullet point, in the city's business type activities such as utilities revenues excluding transfers exceeded expenses by $1.9 million. Fourth bullet point, at June 30, 2019, the general fund reported an unassigned fund balance of $3.9 million, which we'll discuss that here in a little bit in the governmental funds. And then budget reporting purposes, the general fund reported revenues and transfers over estimates of $500,000 or a positive 2.2%, while expenditures and transfers were under the final appropriations by approximately $1.3 million. So a positive 5.4 variance there. So all 5 of those bullet points are positives that you're kind of moving in the right direction and making progress there. So from there, I'm going to jump to page 11. This is your statement of financial position, a summary. We'll show the assets, total liabilities, and then your total net position. The fluctuations are then described there at the bottom. So for instance, the top line, current assets, increased by nearly 50% in the governmental activities column. This was due to $3.1 million increase in construction bond proceeds that were brought in, new bond proceeds. So your cash at the end of the year was higher due to those bond proceeds that came in, and they just haven't been expended yet at that time. So then I will point out the very bottom line in that schedule, the unrestricted deficit. And moving to the bottom right corner of that schedule, the 2019 deficit was $5.9 million compared to the prior year at $6.6 million. So it was reduced by $700,000. In 2017, it was $8.2 million deficit, And then 2016, it was a $9 million deficit. So slowly we're chipping away at that. It was been reduced by about $3 million in the last 3 years. So positive position there. Moving to the next page. Same schedule. We have a comparative of 2019 and 2018. This is your revenues and expenditures, a summary of that. I'm just going to point out the same situation as the previous page. Miscellaneous revenues increased by, it kind of sticks out there, 700%. This was due to sale of city property, insurance, reimbursements, and then a refund of the new water tower. So it kind of sticks out there, but those were the reasons why. The expenditures on governmental activities, the only one that stands out that's not very consistent is the economic development line item. This includes the Rock the Root art show, Christmas events, and some spring events as well. Those increased, but also there was some just some reclassification to get them better classify the expenses. So these aren't necessarily new expenses; they're just were reclassified. So
Define reclassified.
well, like one of the items was advertisement that was for economic development. That might have been up in that line item, general government. This year it was brought down to the economic development. So it's just being classified in that line item
So we're
for the
talking
current
about
year.
more of a classification item.
Correct.
rather
So
than-
it wasn't a new expense that increased during the year.
I didn't
yeah.
recognize it as being new. So.
You're right. Correct.
So what's the advantage of that? Why would you?
Just better reporting, I would think, to get it in the right area.
Make it clearer.
Yes, correct.
Thank
you. I'm going to skip to page 19 now. So this is the start of your the main financial statements, which is in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. You'll see this is the same schedule of what that summary balance sheet was. However, it's just much more detailed. Instead of just 3 line items for assets, it's broken down to what your restrictions are, your investments, accounts receivable, and so on. So just as the further you move back in the financial statements, the more detail you get. So then I'll just point out at the bottom there your unrestricted deficit of, that's the 5.9 million that, and then the total net position of 55.8 million, which is a $6.4 million increase over the prior year. So from there, I'm going to jump to page 22. These are your governmental funds. Specifically going to look at the general fund and the unassigned fund balance at the bottom there, 3.8 million. This is about 15% of your general fund revenues, which is a good position to be in. Your unassigned fund balance is just the amount that's unexpended or unencumbered that you're able to use for the following budgetary year. So in 2017 it was 1.6 million, 2018 it was 2.2 million. So it just keeps on growing again and moving in the positive direction. So the next page on the general fund revenues or governmental funds. The bottom line in this schedule, net change in fund balance, there was an increase, revenues over expenditures of $12.4 million. This was primarily due to the proceeds from long-term debt. Again, the proceeds came in, kind of shows that revenues are over expenditures more than they probably should be, but then it's sitting over in cash until those projects come in and they get expended. So
Are those projects encumbered, though?
correct. Yeah, so those funds are restricted for those projects.
Those purposes, period.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
We just haven't used them all yet.
Correct. Yes. Okay, from there I'm going to move ahead to 36. And this answers your question a little bit. This shows the deposits at the end of the year. This schedule, the top half of the schedule will show the total deposits and investments, what they're deposited in, demand deposits, cash on hand, money market accounts. The bottom half of the schedule shows how it's reported on the financial statements. Cash and equivalents, restricted cash and cash equivalents, and so forth. If you move to page 38, which will answer your question, those are all the restrictions on that cash. So, and you have if you see in the middle of that schedule, 2019 construction trust account has 8.6 million restriction in that. So your cash has $37 million, but then there's these restrictions on these, which is the schedule on page 38. So, okay. From there, I'm going to jump to page 40. This is your capital asset schedule. It shows your beginning assets for the year, your additions, and then your disposals. There's about $8 million in additions for the year June 30, 2019. The significant additions were the Vandermint realignment at $2.8 million, Frisco Road project of $1.7 million, and then the PW maintenance building of $1 million. So I just wanted to point out that schedule and your additions for the year. Next page will show the corresponding debt, your beginning debt for the year, additions, your principal paid during the year, and then your final debt balances for June 30, 2019. The next six pages will have interest rates, terms on these loans, who the money is owed to, and payment amount. So there's a lot more detail on debt in the next 6 pages. But from there, I'm just going to go to our final report, which is on page 85. Okay, this is a report on internal control. It's a byproduct of what we do. So when we come in here, we're trying to form an opinion on these financial statements. But a part of our procedures, we're supposed to develop an understanding of internal control to see if there's any weaknesses in that internal control. So just like the auditor's report, I'm going to walk down the report to explain it a little bit. First paragraph, this is a repeat summary of the auditor's report. It is saying that we have audited the financial statements in accordance with government auditing standards. Second paragraph says we have designed our procedures to express an opinion on these financial statements, but we don't express an opinion on your internal controls. Third paragraph, this just has some definitions, what a deficiency is, what a significant deficiency is, and what a material weakness is. A deficiency in your internal control would be something like not having segregation of duties, not doing bank reconciliations timely, things of that nature. And if we notice that while we are doing our audit procedures, then it might rise to a finding, which, we have had, I think 3-4 years ago we had some findings, but they have gone away since then. The fourth paragraph, we did not have any findings in June 30, 2019. And then the fifth paragraph is compliance. And just like internal controls, as we go through our audit procedures, we determine if you're in compliance with state laws and debt contracts, things like that. And during our procedures, we did not find any instances of non-compliance. So no findings, no non-compliance, clean audit report. And so I will open it up to any questions if you have that.
So I'll have you stated here, it was a clean audit, and that you felt like everything was in order, and there were no significant weaknesses or any other problems that were of major consequence that you discovered going through the books. Okay? I ask that question every year, anyway, just to make sure that, you know, there's not something that we're missing. Were there any things, the guys that you pointed out, that might be in need of attention later on? You know, we had discussed earlier, like our pension programs and everything.
Nothing comes to my mind now.
Okay. Nothing you brought up. With that, any other questions from anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Heim. We appreciate your time and appreciate your efforts. Certainly a wonderful story compared to 5 years, 6. We're at item 2A, presentation and acceptance. We had a motion and a second. No further discussion. Vote, please.
McCarron,
Yes.
Yonda,
Yes.
Caccini,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Item 3A, performator presentation by Mr. Frank Crawford of Crawford and Associates, who is our forensic auditor for the last 7 years, I believe it is.
Several hats in the last several years, but I'll take that one too. A quick story of what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna take very little of your time, but I'm gonna give you a little background about what the performator is, and it actually involves Chris, who just spoke. When I was Chris's age, maybe even way younger than Chris, and I was starting out in the business, I did what he did. I was the auditor, so I would come in and I would talk about much what he just said. That speech I've memorized over and over again because I used to give it. And I remember a small community in eastern Oklahoma that it didn't really matter what I said in that 20-minute speech. There was a gentleman on the council who always asked me the same question, and I wouldn't remember what the question was until I got there. And then I would realize, uh-oh, this is the guy. And that question was, I don't understand anything that you just told me in that 20-minute speech. But I ask you the same question every year, and that is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are we? And I would stumble, and I didn't have a way to communicate it, so I would guess. I would say, well, you're a 7. And then he would say, well, in my notes from last year's meeting, you said we were at an 8, so tell me what changed. And I would stumble, because I really had no way, so I would literally just rattle off several things, and it didn't make any sense. And I finally had enough of that, and I decided that there's got to be a way to analytically do this. And so from that process, that small town in Oklahoma, was created this document that you see in front of you called the Performer, where I take the 86-something pages of the audit and all of the numbers that were dancing around on the pages and you see everywhere, and I try to reduce it down into that, an answer to that particular question. And so that report is in front of you now, and I'm going to just point to a couple of pages, but that's literally what we're talking about. Is if someone, a citizen, another council member, another committee service member were to come to you and say, can you just kind of give me an idea financially, how are we doing? Now I think you're educated enough that you can answer. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being excellent financial health and success, and a 1 or a 0 being poor, we're scoring about a 7.2, which, according to the scale, looks to be well above satisfactory. There can't be a 10, and there can't really be a 0, so if you factor in this is really more of a scale of about 1 to 9, and you're scoring a 7.2. Well, that's great, but give me some perspective. Where were we last year? A 6.6. Where were we the year before that? A 5.5. Where were we 2 years before that? A 4.8. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, well, that seems to be like a good trend. And that's exactly what's occurring. And as Chris had mentioned in his summary, we've had multiple years of a very good performance that have kind of dug us out of literally a financial hole that we had kind of dug ourselves in 4 or 5 years ago. And so, even though this is about 25 pages longer than what I'm talking about, on page 5 you can kind of see everything for the year. The rest of these pages are individual financial healthy is the pension system? How healthy are our capital assets? What does our cash flow look like? What does our unrestricted or unassigned positions, our reserves look like? And so, as we've talked in the past, we kind of tried to watch this number, and it's a very easy scale to look at once a year. And so I'm here tonight to just kind of walk you through this, knowing that it was a good year. The auditor has conferred that it was a good year. Their clean opinion basically states that every number that I draw from in this report comes right out of the audit. Therefore, I'm using the correct numbers in which to draw these inferences to, as far as the financial health and success of the city. So I'm not going to really point in particular to a number of different slides, but I will talk you through maybe a couple of them. Some have a little speedometer that you can kind of see where the scale falls in the red or yellow or the green. Obviously, with an overall score of 7.2, the majority of yours are going to score obviously in the green, but there are a couple that don't score in the green, but there are rational reasons for that. One was mentioned by Chris, talking about the unrestricted net position being in kind of a $5.9 million deficit position. Although it was 8-something million or 9-something million 4 or 5 years ago. It's the only reason it's still in a deficit position now is because of an accounting change that occurred back in 2015 that forced the city to recognize a portion of the state's firefighter pension system liability. Now, I looked up while Chris was talking just to kind of give an idea of a number. We have about $60 million of governmental liabilities total. 15 million of them are pension system liabilities, and 11.5 million of that 16 million is the firefighter pension. So if you were to factor in just removing the firefighter pension liability, that would be the removal of about 11-something million dollars of liabilities, which would turn your 5.9 upside down from a deficit to almost a $5.9 million surplus in the unrestricted capacity. But the accounting rules don't let us just get rid of it. Therefore, we have to recognize it. But that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with us operation. On the next page, we talk about general fund. That does have something to do with us. We said we're somewhere around 15-16% of our annual revenues in general fund balance. That's a little bit better than satisfactory. It's about a 7 on our scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. I'd like to see a little higher, but I'm kind of a conservative, cautious guy. I'd like to see around 20%, but I certainly can't penalize you for having 16% reserves in your main operating fund, so that's a good sign also. Your sales tax has grown in the last few years. Everything looks good. The pension system is funded at about 83%. I'd like to see it get up to 100, but a pension system is functional at about an 80% funding ratio, as long as we don't contract the size of the government and we have less people paying into the system, or the investment strategies in the market tank. That's about the only really two things that can really impact us. But other than that, you're at 83%. It was 64% 6 years ago. So that means that progress has been made. I don't want to underestimate the size of the hole that you had dug for yourself in 2015-ish. That was a steep decline that was occurring, and the city council recognized it, took some actions, brought in a new city manager who's no longer that new, or wasn't really new to Yukon anyway. Things change, and you see the direct result of those changes in front of you. Discipline is what got you to where you're at now. So the findings of the prior years are gone. We had findings of non-compliance where we spent money that we weren't supposed to. We depleted our reserves. We spent money on things we shouldn't have spent it on. All that stuff's gone. And that's all a product of the discipline that was brought into play back in 2016. So I really don't have anything but good things to say, and don't really want to bore anybody any further with accounting terminology. But I'll open it up to any questions, but overall, a good fiscal year from a financial health and performance standpoint.
What did you say was the worst that you've seen? Did you say it was Puerto Rico?
Yeah, we do this for probably well over brackets around them, brackets are bad. Write that down, that's good. Brackets around the number are not good. So, obviously, some governments have a lot more brackets indicative of deficits. Deficits are not good. So, again, we still have some, we're whittling our way out of them, we've made progress, that's why your scores increasing.
Any other questions from the council? I'll just make a short comment. Mr. Crawford has been working on this now for 7 years. And just to let him and our city manager, Jim Crosby, have brought us through some very difficult times over the last 7 years that have made this town not only functional, but in a very, very enviable financial position. Certainly a lot of our neighbors would like to come over here and attach on, simply because of the efforts of Mr. Crawford, the Heim organization, and of course our city manager, who brought the skills in to do that. So with that, I think I appreciate it personally, and I applaud the efforts that you've made.
Team effort, you guys had to make some really tough decisions, so don't discount
Yeah,
your
and for all the kids that are here, this means people's jobs and livelihoods, and whether or not mom brings food home tonight. That's where that goes, you know. I don't know how many of you have been a family where if mom or dad loses their job, it's not a lot of fun. So anyway, with that, thank you. Mr. Crawford, is there anything else? Seeing none. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And his graphs are real pretty too, by the way, for those of you, and easy to read. We'll now adjourn as the YMA and reconvene the council. Item number 1 is the consent docket for the city council. This item is placed on the agenda so the city council, by unanimous consent, can designate those routine items they wish to be approved by one motion. If an item does not meet with the approval of all council members, that item will be heard in regular order. City manager recommends a motion that will approve, A, the minutes of the regular meeting of February the 4th, 2020. B, payment of material claims in the amount of $1,007,528.63. C, designated items on the attached surplus list from the Technology Department as surplus and authorizing their sale, donation, or trade. D, the resignation of Larry Taylor from the Planning Commission and the appointments of Jared Wright to the Planning Commission and Mike McKee to the Board of Adjustments, representing Ward 2 as recommended by Council Member Shelley Selby. E, renewal of the maintenance agreement with Signal Tech, Inc. for traffic signal intersections and schools zone signs beginning February 1, 2020 for a 12-month period, with the option to renew for 2 additional 12-month periods at a monthly cost of $930. And F, setting the date for the next regular council meeting for March the 3rd, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of the Centennial Building, 12 South 5th Street. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, vote please.
Selby,
Yes.
Yonda,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Caccini,
Yes.
McCarron.
Yes. Item 2, reports of boards, commissions, and city officials. Mr. Crosby.
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Item 3, acceptance of the 2018-2019 financial audit performed by HBC CPAs and advisors. Do I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. No further discussion? Vote, please.
Yonda,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Caccini.
Yes.
Item 4, consider approving the bid specifications and authorizing the city engineer to advertise and receive bids for the North Gregory Road Bridge Rehabilitation Project. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, vote please.
Wooten,
Yes.
Yonda,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Caccini.
Yes.
Consider approving the bid specifications and authorizing the purchasing agent to advertise to receive proposals for the Freedom Fest, July 3rd and 4th, 2020, and the Rock the Route, September the 3rd, 2020 fireworks shows, with an option to renew for 2 additional years. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, vote please.
Caccini,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Yonda,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Item number 6, consider approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a utility relocation agreement with Oklahoma Gas and Electric, or OG&E, for the relocation of power poles and lines for the Express Ranch driveway permanent move as part of the Highway 4 project at an estimate cost of $75,178.91, as recommended by the Development Services Director. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion accept.
Second.
Mr. Hort, what are we doing there exactly?
Mr. Mayor, this is a requirement for, the power line currently exists, it would be in the drainage channel. They have to build a berm, so once the berm is built, they move the power line over for that. So it's for the driveway as well as a drainage channel to get it out of that.
Okay, so that has not been done as a part of
No,
what's
it
going
can't.
on so
It
far?
has to, it'll be completed later on during the project.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, is there any other discussion? Seeing none, vote please.
Selby,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Caccini,
Yes.
Yonda,
Yes.
Item 7, consider entering into a services agreement with the Sanborn Map Company, Inc. for digital aerial imagery mapping in the amount of $975.50, as recommended by the Development Services Director. And once again, Mr. Hort, you want to just tell us why we're going to digital mapping here?
Sorry about that. This is a product that we use for our GIS system. This is used by the police department as well as other city departments for water, sewer. It has shape files, which is basically sidewalks, houses, and so forth. But it's something we use in our daily mapping. And we do this about every 4 to 5 years with the general government's ACOG as well.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other discussion?
need a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion on that, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got ahead of myself there again. Vote, please.
Caccini,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Yonda,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes. Item 8, consider approving construction of a 4-foot drainage flume at the animal control facility in the amount of $595.36 to Burr Construction Oklahoma LLC, using unit bid prices from the 2020 concrete and asphalt paving, drainage, water, and sewer project contract as recommended by the city engineer. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion accept.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll ask the one question there. Was this something we didn't foresee ahead of time, Rob, while we're adding more on there or what?
You want to answer, Jim?
Huh?
What happened was after the animal shelter was built, we began to see from the parking lot as it drained to the east to go into the channel, it began to become stopped up with dirt and items flowing into it.
Hmm.
And this will alleviate that problem, so the parking lot would not be holding water. We get the water off the parking lot and into the drainage ditch that is there to the east.
So it wasn't something that was foreseen?
Yes, it wasn't foreseen at the time.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other discussion? Seeing none, vote please.
Yonda,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Caccini, Yes. McCarron,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Item 9, consider accepting the Yukon Animal Control Facilities Project and placing the maintenance bond into effect as recommended by the city engineer. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Just make a comment for those of you who've not seen it. We have a wonderful new animal control facility that's out just next door to where the old one was. So you have an opportunity where you want to come out and adopt an animal and that sort of thing, please come out and see the new facility. Represents a big step forward for Yukon. Vote, please.
Yonda,
Yes.
Caccini, Yes. Wooten,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Item 10, consider a motion to recess as the Yukon City Council and convene into executive session for A, annual contract review of the city manager as provided for in 25 OS 2003, Section 307B1. B, the annual contract review of the city attorney as provided for in 25 OS 2003, Section 307B1. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion accept.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we sign the
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we
forms
sign
so
their-
they
Uh,
have
before
to
they can-
stay?
Take the vote.
Okay, I'll pause right here. We're gonna step out into executive session. So for all of the kids that are here as part of your assignment, if you wanna come up and get your sheet signed now, you don't wanna sit and
Can
wait.
feel free to stay if you'd like.
Yeah, you can stick around if you want to.
Take the vote.
I'm sorry, do I need to?
Did you learn anything?
Go ahead.
Come on, let's go. Rick has a bedtime. And we passed it in 30 minutes.
Item 11. Consider a motion to adjourn from executive session and reconvene as the Yukon City Council. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion accept.
Second.
And with that,
Not yet.
not yet. Oh,
Need to vote.
After the
No.
vote.
after the vote. Okay,
That's correct.
all right. Vote, please.
McCarron,
Yes.
Caccini, Yes. Selby,
Yes.
Yonda,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to read the minutes of the executive session. While in an executive session, only the items on the agenda were discussed. No action was taken, no votes were cast. Now, do we want to vote? Oh, no, we're back out now, okay.
12, Mr. Mayor.
Item 12. Item 12, new business.
No new business tonight, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Item 13, Councilwoman Yonda.
Well, I just want to say congratulations to Eric on your election to the city council. I want to thank HBC and Crawford and Associates for the report. Our city continues to see tremendous improvements in our financial situation, and I contribute that to our city manager, our assistant city manager, and all the employees of the city of Yukon for their contribution to that. And then I also want to thank Larry Taylor for his many years of service on the Planning Commission. He's done a tremendous job for the city of Yukon through the years, and he's also served in many other capacities, and I just want to thank him for that. Thank you.
Councilman Wooten.
Eric, congratulations. Looking forward to having you up here with us. Also, you pretty much took everything I was going to say there. So thank you, Mr. Taylor, for all your years of service. I'd like to welcome Jared Wright to the Planning Commission and also Mike McKee to the Board of Adjustments. So that's all I got.
Mr. Caccini.
Well, I wanted to thank the city and all his staff, so we weren't tarred and feathered for losing any money, so that's good. And I want to thank the students for not passing out, but they did, they left. So I'll probably see them in school next week. Thank you.
Councilwoman Shelley.
Well, I'd like to thank Larry Taylor also for 29 years of service and all that he has done for this city. I also want to continue to support him as our Spanish Cove representative. But I'd like to also welcome to the board Jared Wright for agreeing to be on the Planning Commission and for Mike McKee to be on the Board of Adjustments. Thank you both for agreeing to serve.
We live in a great town, folks. You know, for us to have come back over the last 7 years has been nothing less than exemplary and, in my view, spectacular. We've certainly had our challenges, but there's nothing but good things looking forward. Also looking forward to March of 2020. Our assistant city manager always gives me a list down there, which is the kids' annual trout fish out on March the 7th, 2020. The 21st annual Taste of Yukon, Thursday, March the 26th. Tickets are $15 and $17 same day of, and you can get them pretty much around 24 different vendors are going to be there. It should be a pretty spectacular event. And I, too, want to thank Jim personally for all of his efforts and time here, and certainly all of the Yukon city employees that contribute every single day to making this place the great town that it is. I could not have pictured myself to be in a better place than I am right here. And finally, I'd also like to congratulate Larry Taylor. Larry is someone I've known for a long, long time and has put in a tremendous amount of effort over the years. And we appreciate all of his efforts that he has. And Eric, welcome. Now, they won't let you sit here right away, okay? But we'd like to, Eric, and welcome you once again. And with that, seeing no other business before this council this evening, this meeting is adjourned.